David rushing past the old man. He was in such a hurry that he didn't even see the old man's outstretched hand. He brushed past him, a blur of worn denim and tired eyes, his mind already on the important meeting ahead. It was a moment so small, so insignificant to him. He had no idea that the universe, in its quiet way, was about to teach him a lesson he would never forget. This is the story of David, a man who had, by most accounts, achieved the picture of success. He had a sleek car, a tailored suit, and a schedule so packed there was no room for distractions. His world was one of spreadsheets, profit margins, and bottom lines. And on this particular Tuesday morning, that world was all that mattered. He was rushing to his car, phone pressed to his ear, finalizing talking points. "Just make sure the projections are clear, Susan. This client is everything." And that's when he passed him. An old man sitting on a low wall near the office parking lot. His clothes were simple, a little faded, but his face was gentle. As David sped by, the man smiled softly and held out a single beautiful yellow flower, a daffodil. "Close up of the offered daffodil. A little sunshine for your day, sir," the old man said, his voice as weathered as his hands. David barely broke his stride. He glanced at the flower, then at the man, his expression one of mild annoyance. He didn't have time for this. He gave a quick, dismissive wave. "Not today," he muttered, more to himself than to the old man, and slid into the driver's seat. In his rearview mirror, he saw the old man's hand slowly lower, but the gentle smile never quite left his face. David pushed the image from his mind. He had more important things to focus on. Leo crying over the crushed plant. Later that day, the weight of the world seemed to be on David's shoulders. The meeting had not gone well. The client was difficult, the proposals were picked apart, and he'd left the office feeling frustrated and defeated. All he wanted was to get home, to the quiet of his house in the suburbs. He pulled into his driveway, the engine cutting into the evening silence. He grabbed his briefcase, his mind already replaying every misstep of the day. As he walked toward his front door, he saw his 8-year-old son, Leo, playing in the front yard. Leo was a quiet boy with a heart that seemed too big for his small frame. He was on his knees, near the flower bed, carefully arranging a handful of pebbles. David was about to call out a hello when he saw it. Leo was crying. Not loud, dramatic sobs, but silent tears that traced clean paths through the dust on his cheeks. His small shoulders shook with the effort of staying quiet. David kneeling with Leo, David's fatherly instinct kicked in, washing away his professional worries. He rushed over, kneeling in the grass beside his son. "Leo, buddy, what's wrong? What happened?" Leo looked up, his eyes wide and swimming with hurt. He pointed a trembling finger toward the fence. There, lying trampled in the dirt, was Leo's prized tomato plant. The one he'd nurtured from a seed, watering it every morning before school, watching with awe as tiny green fruits appeared. It was crushed, its stem broken, then the ball from next door. Leo managed between shaky breaths. It came over the fence and landed on it. "It's ruined, Dad!" Leo explaining his motive, David felt a surge of protective anger, ready to march next door and complain. But Leo's next words stopped him cold. "I was growing it for Mr. Evans," Leo whispered. Evans was their elderly neighbor who lived alone. David barely knew him, only offering a curt nod if they happened to cross paths. "Why for Mr. Evans, son?" David asked, his voice softening. Leo looked down at his dirty hands. "I heard him tell the mailman that he gets lonely, and that he misses his wife's garden. I thought if I gave him a tomato, it might make him smile, like the man does." David was confused. "What man, Leo?" Leo wiped his nose with his sleeve. "The man with the flowers. I see him with you sometimes when you pick me up from school near your work. He gives people flowers. And every time he gives one, the people smile. It's like a little bit of magic." David's moment of realization, a cold dread washed over David. The school was just 2 blocks from his office. The old man, the daffodil. His mind flashed back to that very morning. The old man's outstretched hand, his own dismissive wave, the gentle smile that never faltered. He had been so blind. He had been so focused on his own important world, he had completely ignored a simple, beautiful act of kindness happening right in front of him. An act that his own son, from the back seat of the car, had been quietly observing and learning from. And in that moment, David realized a profound and painful truth. He had been teaching his son all the wrong things. He taught him about ambition, about success, about being busy. But his son, his beautiful, empathetic son, was trying to learn about kindness. And the one time David had a chance to model that kindness, he had failed. He had ignored the old man's kindness, and in doing so, he had almost extinguished that very light in his own child. He looked at Leo's heartbroken face, and then back towards the direction of his office, as if he could see through the houses and streets to where the old man sat. The weight of his briefcase suddenly felt trivial. The failed meeting felt insignificant. This was everything. Choosing a new plant without a word, David pulled his son into a tight hug. "I'm so sorry about your plant, Leo. That was a really kind thing you wanted to do for Mr. Evans." He stood up, taking his son's hand. "Come on," he said, a new determination in his voice. "Where are we going, Dad?" David said, his heart feeling lighter than it had all day. "Or going to buy a new tomato plant, a bigger one. And then, we are going to go and see a man about a flower." They drove to the garden center, and Leo carefully picked out the strongest, healthiest tomato plant he could find. Walking towards the old man at sunset, then David didn't drive home. He drove toward his office. The sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. And there, on the same wall, the old man was still sitting, a small basket of daffodils by his side. David parked the car. He took Leo's hand, and together they walked over. The exchange of plant and flower. The old man looked up, the same gentle smile on his face. He showed no recognition of David from the morning. David's voice was thick with emotion. "Sir," he began, "my son and I, we were wondering if we could have one of your flowers. And we'd like to give you this in return." He held out the tomato plant. The old man's eyes crinkled at the corners. He looked at Leo, then at David, his gaze seeming to see right into David's newly awakened heart. He slowly selected the most perfect daffodil from his basket and handed it to Leo. "For you, young man," he said. Then he looked at David. "And for you, sir," he said, placing a second daffodil in his hand. "A little sunshine for your day." This time, David didn't brush it aside. He accepted it as if it were the most valuable thing he'd ever been given. "Thank you," he said, and the words carried the weight of an apology and a promise. Close up of the daffodil in their hands, as they walked back to the car, daffodils in hand, Leo looked up at his father, his eyes no longer sad but shining. "See, Dad," he said, "I told you it was magic." David looked down at his son, and then at the bright yellow flower in his hand. He knew it wasn't magic. It was something far more powerful. It was kindness. And it had been there all along, waiting for him to finally see it.